In 2013, a young former employee of the CIA went to work for the National Security Agency. In May of that year, he left his job and met a group of journalists. The conversation that these people had together in that meeting would not only change his life forever, but completely redefine public perception of surveillance programs. The NSA employee was Edward Snowden, who would later be charged with violating the 1917 Espionage Act and charged with theft of government property. Subsequently, Snowden fled to Russia and is currently staying in an undisclosed location. However, despite being physically hard to locate and photograph, he is now a well-known virtual presence in the international community, and still regularly holds teleconferences in different parts of the world. So what made Snowden fly out to a meeting that would completely reconstruct his life and even tarnish public perception of the United States? To find out, let's sit back and enjoy. Snowden witnessed ethical breaches in the CIA and misconduct in the NSA. A few years before becoming one of the most hunted men on Earth, Snowden was working for the CIA. He discovered that the agency was nothing like he'd hoped it would be. First off, the technology was surprisingly out of date. However, that did not compare to some of the things he learned about the spies working for the organization. In 2007, he went to Geneva to learn about the banking industry. Whilst there, he also discovered just how ruthless the spies were and the choices they made in order to do their jobs and get promoted. CIA agents were required to fulfill a quota of recruits in order to get ahead in their own careers, and would routinely pick targets without seriously evaluating the value they could offer to the CIA, and in some cases, their instability for the role ruined their lives. Some spies would persuade their targets to get so drunk they would end up arrested. They would then get bailed out by the spies, meaning they were indebted to the spies and more vulnerable to manipulation. Snowden felt that these actions needlessly destroyed too many lives overseas. He also confirmed that CIA agents tortured people and indiscriminately wiretapped lines. When Snowden worked for the NSA, he also witnessed that his colleagues did not exert a lot of control over the information they gleaned from other people's lives. If they discovered personal or intimate information on someone they found interesting, they would pass it around the office. This is what he had to say about his colleagues. Many of the people searching through the haystacks were young, enlisted guys, 18 to 22-year-olds. They've suddenly been thrust into a position of extraordinary responsibility, where they now have access to all of your private records. In the course of their daily work, they stumble across something that is completely unrelated in any sort of necessary sense. For example, an intimate nude photograph. So what do? They turn around in their chair and they show a co-worker. And sooner or later, this person's whole life has been seen by all of these other people. However, the unspoken rule seems to be that this could not be a topic of discussion outside the office. Snowden eventually learned about invasive international cyber activity. Before becoming a whistleblower, Snowden was actually among the NSA's most trusted employees, and no one anticipated that he would bring classified information to light. Meaning he had an unusual amount of access to private information, and he even downloaded confidential information that he personally liked. Most employees for the NSA had access to classified materials, but Snowden had access to nearly everything apart from information about NSA's cyber activity in detail. To overcome this problem, Snowden took another job from a different NSA contractor. This enabled him to track NSA activity, and he culled information by planting malware in different systems. He was then able to steal secrets and store them away for later, and he realized that an incredible number of American communications were being monitored without cause, and that there was no warrants justifying most of the monitoring. None of the activity was done to catch criminals. It was just indiscriminate observation of different types of communication. This revelation was likely what caused him to become disillusioned enough with his employees to consider becoming a whistleblower. However, Snowden would have to learn more about NSA activity to actually break away from his employers, and eventually he realized that the impact the NSA had would extend far beyond domestic concerns. The NSA was the real cause of Syria's internet blackout. In 2012, internet access was shut down across the nation of Syria. At the time, the nation's information minister blamed terrorists for the chaos, but the blackout was believed to be a measure by the Syrian government against invasions in Damascus. They also crippled mobile phone access to stop advances in other cities. Or that's how the story went for 2 years. In 2014, Edward revealed the real cause of the internet blackout. It was not the Syrian government, but rather the NSA. An elite NSA hacking unit was trying to infiltrate Syria's internet, but they made some mistakes and ended up cutting the Syrian internet off altogether. If the hack had been successful, they would have had unrestricted access to communications in Syria, where Islamist revolutionaries were fighting. But instead, they took Syria offline, and 92% of routed networks went dark. The public had no idea America was actually responsible, and the NSA hackers feared they would be discovered. A colleague even joked, "If we get caught, we can always point the finger at Israel." The NSA and the CIA conducted surveillance in online gaming. This Snowden discovery is a little strange, but it's important because it reveals the depth of how much spy work has been done in the everyday lives of people. Intelligence establishments began to fear that criminals and terrorists could use games for secret messaging or plot strategies. So intelligence agents began to infiltrate gaming territories to try and spot criminal networking. Some of the agents even created make-believe characters on gaming networks to try to recruit informers. These spies also collected communications between players. According to intelligence agencies, gaming networks are useful for militants to come together because the fake identities help them stay hidden. Snowden's declassified documents, however, do not prove that these counter-terrorism efforts were successful in any way, and there is little proof that militants see gaming territories as a place to strategize secret plans. Some spokespeople for the gaming companies stated that they were not aware of any surveillance taking place, and many others declined to comment. The Black Budget. Snowden leaked the US intelligence plan for 2013 to launch an intensive project on the country's blind spots, or areas of information that US intelligence is not equipped to deal with. A great deal of money is given to surveillance programs, but the leaked document to the Washington Post proved that this did not help intelligence discover answers to multiple questions on serious topics, such as nuclear programs in Korea or biological chemical weapons. The document also proved intelligence knew next to nothing of Kim Jong-un's intentions, and was reportedly having a difficult time with gathering information from China, Russia, and Iran. The document also states a desire to work harder with its allies overseas. To achieve all of this, a black budget was allotted to 16 spy agencies. $52.6 billion in total was given to intelligence. About $11 billion was meant for data collection expenses. $4.4 billion was given to the General Defense Intelligence Program. This huge spending proposal was contrasted by the $44.8 billion given to the US Department of Housing and Urban Development. In 2013, budget is double that of the 2001 budget, causing some to fear that an empire of sorts is being built. So what do you think about Snowden? These 5 have only scratched the surface really, so do you think it's worth us doing a full in-depth documentary on him? Is he a hero of American values and a defender of the right to privacy? Or is he doing more harm than good? Let us know in the comments. We hope you've enjoyed, and as always, we'll see you in the next video.